Hey everyone, my name is James. I've been building custom PCs and gaming for most of my life. It's been my lifelong dream to have the ultimate place to work, game, stream, make content, spend time with friends, and even relax every now and then. I've gone through many methods trying to find the right desk, chair, organization system, and cable management that ticks all of the boxes on my wish list. Before we dive into the current setup, I wanted to show you a brief history of my past setups over the last 15 years. With as many changes as I've made, I think I finally found the perfect combination to create the ultimate setup for my needs in 2021. Hello, again, my name is James, also known as Captain Jack. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from my normal stream or game highlights, as we're going to be talking about my home stream room and office setup. This video includes all of the gear I use and how things operate in my setup on a daily basis. If you have any questions or want to leave a comment about something you see in the video, feel free to do so at any time. If you're curious about any of the gear I'm using, I'll have everything I talk about linked in the description down below. There's a lot of it, so I'll try and organize it as best I can. That being said, if you like what you see, feel free to click the like button. It's 100% free and it helps the video grow and reach more people. Again, only if you like the content. Also, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of whenever I go live or post something new. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy the video. Peace. Well, to start off, let's talk about the brains of the operation, and that would be my main gaming and workstation PC. I get a lot of questions about this case in different social media posts. This case in question is a Mountain Mods U2 UFO Custom. If any of you are familiar with Case Labs and their extreme water cooling cases, this was the company to buy from before they even existed. I've owned this case for over 11 years now and bought it from another PC enthusiast on a forum. I really love how unique it is compared to all the current cases on the market, and I'm not sure if I'll ever part ways with it. It is due for some new plexiglass and a paint refresh or powder coating, which I plan on doing this coming year. The outside panels for this case is held together by mostly thumb screws. To get into the case, you just remove the 8 thumb screws from one of the 3 open sides, which is the left, right, or top panels, and lift it away. We'll just pull the top off for now. Let's talk specs. The motherboard I'm using is the Asus B450 Gaming F. The processor in this system is an AMD Ryzen 3900X 12-core 24-thread CPU, being cooled with a full custom loop. The loop consists of a Corsair XC5 block, an XSPC reservoir with a Lang D5 pump, and Thermalright PA 120.3 radiators with 25mm fan spacing. Something to note is this case was specifically designed to hold these radiators. Other parts of this loop include Thermochill elegant white tubing and matte black bits power fittings. I'm using a full set of Corsair LL120 fans to keep everything nice and cool while giving the case some RGB flair. While you see the 6 fans on the front of the case, there are 2 additional ones under the motherboard tray, and another one on top is shown here. Other comments I often get is this PC is on the floor and people are so worried about the dust buildup. I do a full clean out of this PC every 6 months or so, and there's really no risk of losing any cooling performance with this machine. For RAM, I'm also running 32GB of Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB. This is a 3200 MHz kit running at CAS 16 timings. For the GPU, I went with an EVGA RTX 3070 for the Win 3 Ultra. I was fortunate enough to have my name pulled in the EVGA queue for this in May of this year, which gave my system a major upgrade from my extremely dated GTX 780. I'm on the waiting list for an RTX 3080 Ti card as well to gain some more VRAM, but who knows when that will drop. For storage, we're rocking a Samsung 970 EVO Plus 1TB that serves as the main boot drive and app storage. I also have another Samsung 970 EVO 1TB that I use mainly as a scratch disk for editing. The 1TB 860 EVO and random mechanical drives live in the bottom of this case for other miscellaneous storage. For the power supply, we're using a Corsair RM850X. I definitely wanted something that would be able to handle the highest end cards that I could throw into this machine, as well as something that's energy efficient and easy to cable manage. I also have an Elgato HD60 Pro for capture card in this machine. I'll talk about how that's used later when I cover the cable management for this setup. Also, here's a breakdown of the specs just in case you didn't catch all of that. Next up is the streaming PC. This is by far one of my favorite PCs I've ever built. This case is a Corsair 280X in white. For a motherboard, we're using the Asus TUF Gaming B550M Plus Wi-Fi. I wanted to have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on board to keep the peripherals wireless here. Sitting inside the board is an AMD Ryzen 3600X CPU that is being cooled by a Corsair H100i Elite Capellix Edition in white. This helps keep all of my animated transitions, complex camera setups, and different stream alerts running smoothly. For RAM, we're using the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro SL series in white. This is a 16GB kit with CAS 16 timings running at 3200 MHz. For the GPU, we have an NVIDIA 1660 Ti. This card is from MSI and it's the Twin Frozer 7 model. I chose this card as I needed to be able to run a 4K TV as well as handling the NVENC encoding for the live streams. For storage, we have a Samsung 970 EVO Plus 500GB for the OS drive, as well as a Western Digital 12TB RED drive for mechanical storage. The power supply is an EVGA 650 G5 model that's also 80+ gold rated and 100% modular. I wanted this entire setup to have the fans look very similar, so I kept with the Corsair LL120 series fans in white here to stay with theme. The Corsair Lighting Node Pro adds some extra RGB output for this case as well. For the capture card, I'm using an Elgato HD60S on this machine to handle the video output coming from the gaming workstation PC as well as all of my consoles. Again, here's a list of specs in case you missed all that. Now let's talk monitors. This particular model I'm using is the Acer ED273. Whenever I was looking to upgrade, I wanted something in the 27-inch size, 1080p, high refresh rate, G-Sync compatible that didn't break the bank. This seemed totally impossible 2 years ago until Nvidia decided to expand G-Sync support to certain FreeSync monitors. These are one of the very first FreeSync monitors that Nvidia allowed G-Sync to be run on that was not specifically designed for it. These are VA panels, so colors aren't 100% accurate compared to an IPS display, but they do the job for my needs. Something else about these monitors is that they have a subtle 1800R curve. It adds an immersive feeling without being overbearing. All three of these monitors are wall mounted using Ergotron LX arms. These monitors are connected to the gaming PC and the docking station for my laptop so I can work from home. Up top, I have a wall-mounted Samsung TU8000 series TV in the 50-inch size. This TV is connected to all of my consoles, streaming PC, and portable PC. I get asked a lot if having it up top hurts to watch. To answer that, I'm never really looking directly at it for an extended period of time while interacting with the lower three monitors. If I am watching the TV, I push the chair away from the desk or sit on the sofa in the back of the room to enjoy some movies or a casual gaming session. Eventual goals may be to change this out for a 55-inch LG OLED TV in the future to add 120Hz support. Now to talk peripherals. For the main camera, I'm using the new Elgato Facecam mounted on the Elgato wall mount with some extra arms from the multi-mount kit. I wanted this to be stationary as the monitors move quite often in my setup. This camera has provided some great visual upgrades in my setup as well as the ability to tune it for different situations. This camera was the perfect choice for my needs as having to spend a large amount of money on a dedicated mirrorless camera or a DSLR is just not on the cards right now. Side note, after attending LTX 2019, I left with a huge amount of these Linus Tech Tips cable straps, and you'll see them quite often in my setup. You can pick some up for yourself at lttstore.com. Moving from right to left on the desk, let's cover audio first. I'm using the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X dynamic microphone mounted on the Gator Frameworks 3000 series arm. When the pandemic started in 2020, I needed a new microphone that was number 1, dynamic, number 2, in stock, number 3, had USB-C and XLR interfaces, and number 4 was under $100, which made this the clear and only winner at the time. The Gator Frameworks arm is incredibly well built, sturdy, and it has the reach I need for streaming while also being easily tucked out of the way during my normal daily use. The microphone is running into my TC Helicon Go XLR Mini. The Go XLR has been around for a few years now and uses the well-known Midas preamps, which have plenty of gain for this dynamic microphone. This is one of the most recent additions to my setup, and it hasn't missed a beat yet. For headphones, I'm using the Razer Nari Ultimates. Now, I have a very large head. I currently wear a 7 3/4 hat size, and I'm almost an 8 for size reference. I really needed something that's comfortable for very long gaming sessions. After trying quite a few other headsets out, the Razer Nari was the clear choice. They fit me very well, and the padding on them is also very soft and doesn't seem to cause any irritation after multiple hours of use. I don't listen to the main speakers on my system very often, but when I do, I'm using the Bose Companion 2 Series 3. When I was looking for new speakers a few years ago, these looked really nice on my desk and sound fairly decent. I think if I were to replace them, it would be with some Yamaha HS5s in white. The only problem is I don't have any space left on my desk. I'd probably have to ceiling mount them and point them facing down or find another solution. Next up we have the Elgato Stream Deck. This is a fairly recent purchase for me to add some extra functionality while streaming. Once I moved to the dual PC setup, it added a lot of extra complications, and this helps simplify everything, especially when it comes to controlling my webcam and Spotify, as I run Spotify on my gaming PC. If you were paying attention in my old PC photos, I've been rocking Logitech peripherals for a long while now. The legacy continues with this Logitech G915 with low profile brown switches for my keyboard and the Logitech G502 Lightspeed for the mouse. I've been a diehard for wired keyboard and mice for over 13 years. 2020 was the year that Logitech changed my mind. The Lightspeed tech that Logitech has developed is incredibly solid, and I haven't had any issues as of yet. The G915 TKL has a very sleek profile, bright backlighting, and very good battery life. In my experience, it only needs to be recharged every 2 weeks or so, and I haven't had any hiccups while gaming. As for the mouse, I've been using some variants of the Logitech G series mice for a full 15 years. Whenever Logitech brought the Infiniscroll to the G9X, I was sold and didn't want anything else. This is actually my third G502. This just so happens to be the Lightspeed version. I don't notice the weight as much as I thought I would, and it feels as solid in my hands as my trusty G5 did back in 2009. The G502 does die much faster than the keyboard though. To remedy that, I picked up the Logitech PowerPlay mat and hid it underneath my desk pad for seamless charging, and I now never need to manually plug in my mouse. The other peripherals that live on my desk are the Keychron K1 V4 low profile with linear switches and the Logitech MX Master 3. These are mainly used on the stream PC and on my work from home PC. The Keychron has had the ability to be used over USB-C or via Bluetooth. This gives me the option to keep everything wireless when needed, or if I want to hook it up to the gaming PC so I can use 10-key compatibility. The MX Master 3 has a reputation for being one of the best mice in the industry for productivity. The main wireless dongle is connected to my gaming workstation PC whenever I need to do some editing. Further moving over to the left on my desk is an Anker 3-in-1 wireless charging station. This has been a nice addition, but will probably be replaced with a MagSafe charger soon as I just upgraded my phone. As for my chair, this has been something that has been a part of my setup for over 8 years. This is the Han Wave Mesh Big and Tall Office Chair. Being a big man at over 6 feet 6 inches tall, I needed a chair that could provide me plenty of support for my large frame, have nice breathable fabric, and would hold up over time. In the past, I had used some cheaper Office Depot special chairs and none of them made it more than a year. I put a little bit more money in my budget for a solid chair, and this has been my favorite so far. I normally spend at least 8 hours a day in this chair for work, and sometimes up to 16 hours depending on if I'm in a marathon stream or just caught up in a really great game. The armrests on the chair did start to fall apart a few years ago, but a quick call into Han with the serial number of my chair and they were able to replace them at a very low cost. This has by far been the best you get what you pay for purchase in my setup. Potentially in the future, I may look into a more professional line of chairs such as the Herman Miller series, but that depends on how much longer this chair lasts. I get a lot of questions whenever I show off my setup, and people ask why I need 3 different PCs. This last one on the top of the setup is a portable PC that I take with me whenever I travel. My work requires me to go to different places for a week or more at a time. Rather than spending a large amount of money on a laptop that cannot be upgraded or needs to be replaced after a few years, I'd rather have something that has the full capabilities just like all of my other computers. I wanted something mini ITX size without having to compromise on any of my other features. The NZXT H210 case was the winner when it came to form and functionality. As for specs, I'm running a Gigabyte Aorus B450 ITX motherboard, a Ryzen 1700X CPU being cooled by a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition cooler, and we have 32 gigs of Corsair LPX at DDR4 3000 speeds. Since I made this computer mostly out of reused parts, I had my old GTX 780 serving up GPU duties. However, in the middle of September, the EVGA selected me once again for this nice upgrade to an RTX 3060. For storage, I'm using a Samsung 860 EVO 500GB SSD and 2 500GB mechanical drives and RAID zeros to hold my games. The power supply is a Seasonic 550W Focus Gold rated unit. As for peripherals on the go, I use the Keychron K2 keyboard with blue switches and a HyperX pudding keycaps. You'll also find another Logitech G502 mouse, this time in Hero White Edition. Moving over to the shelves on the left side of my setup, you'll notice that all of my consoles are hardwired with Ethernet, HDMI, and power at all times. My goal is to be able to pick up a controller and be in a game as fast as possible without having to worry about setting up. You'll find that I'm a sucker for special edition consoles. The first thing you'll see is my Halo 5 Guardians Edition Xbox One. I keep both controllers wall mounted using these inexpensive mounts I found on Amazon. I still have the original controller for this console. However, whenever I'm gaming, I primarily use my Xbox Elite Series 1 controller. I do know that this console is not designed to be run vertically. I don't normally use my Xbox that often due to the large amount of Xbox games and now running on PC via the Xbox Game Pass. I'm actually hoping to replace this console later this year with the new Halo Xbox Series X that was just announced. Here's to hoping I can land one whenever they are finally in stock again. Moving up to the top left of the setup is my God of War Edition PlayStation 4 Pro console. I've been a huge fan of the God of War series since its release back in 2005. The PlayStation 4 was never on my radar for consoles when it released, mainly because the Final Fantasy series started to launch on PC and on Xbox as well. Just note that the PlayStation 5 is on my radar, as God of War Ragnarok and the Final Fantasy VII Integrate Remake are both on my list of must-plays coming up. My intention with this console is to keep the original controller in the best condition as possible and use the white controller for whenever I'd like to play games. Now, something that you can't see is behind the left monitor is where my Nintendo Switch lives. I try to keep the Switch as low as possible in the setup as it's the one that moves the most. The Switch does come with me on the go from time to time whenever I travel or if I have family and friends around. Then I'll take the dock and move it to the living room television if my wife and I want to play some casual Mario Kart or Mario Party on the weekends. I also keep the Switch Pro controller hardwired and charged at all times next to this in the event I want to stream anything directly from the console. Now to talk cable management. The ultimate goal when creating my new gaming setup at the house was to make it as easy as possible to connect whatever I needed, whenever I needed, however I needed, but it also needed to be as clean as I could make it, while keeping everything extremely secure. That basically meant one thing and one thing only, and that is lots and lots of Velcro. I highlighted earlier that all of the monitors are mounted on Ergotron LX series arms. This means that all of these monitors have a compressed spring on the lift arm and can be moved out of the way with just one finger. Once you lift the monitors up and out of the way, you'll find the brilliance in the cable management. I started off by painting a 2x10 piece of dimensional lumber, and I nailed a 1/4 inch sheet of oak on top of it. The board was then painted to match the wall of my setup. This board is attached in 5 different places to studs in the wall using 3-inch construction screws. I'm incredibly confident of how much weight this board is able to hold. If I decided to in the future and wanted to go to much heavier monitors, I have no doubt that this would hold strong. Moving from left to right on the board, let's talk about what's mounted. First, I have the far left monitor's Ergotron arm, followed by my USB rechargeable AA batteries for my controllers or camera equipment. To the right and below that is my Vantech 10-port USB 3.0 hub. This is powered and connected to a USB 3.1 Type-C 10 gigabit port on the motherboard of the gaming and workstation PC. Since it's the one PC I use the most, it makes the most sense to have quick and easy access to whatever I would need to connect. As of right now, what I keep plugged into the hub is the Xbox One controller adapter, my Razer Nari wireless headset adapter, and the wireless adapters for all of my Logitech devices. This leaves 5 extra ports for whatever needs to be connected at any time. Just above the USB hub is my Ubiquiti Edge Router X. This has been set up in switch only mode as it does not need to be performing any router duties. The beauty of this switch is that it runs on PoE power and only needs a single cable for power and data. It trunks to my main networking switch. This allows me to run a gigabit connection to my consoles, TV, stream PC, and the portable PC whenever it's needed. I keep a dedicated Cat6a connection on the wall that goes directly to the gaming and workstation PC to eliminate any bottlenecks I may encounter. This also gives me the ability to move to a 10 gigabit networking connection whenever I'm ready. Moving further to the right is the middle monitor mount. Just below and to the right of that is a wall-mounted bottle opener. I mean, you never know when you're going to need to crack open a cold one at the end of a long day. Right next to the bottle opener is a hook where I hang regularly used cables. I know most desk setups I see on YouTube are using these IKEA Alex drawers. Something that stays with me is from a video I watched with Adam Savage from Mythbusters on YouTube, talking about a drawer is where things go to die. Even though cables coiled up may be messy to some, it's quick and convenient. I find if I go more than 6 months without using a cable, it needs to be put away for later use. The main cables I keep in my setup ready for use is a 6-foot USB C-to-C power delivery cable, a 5-foot USB A to C charging cable, a 10-foot USB A to lightning cable, as well as a 6 and 10-foot USB A to micro B cable. Moving further to the right from the wall hook is an additional surge protector that has 12 outlets as well as 5 USB 2.4 rated outlets. The surge protector is directly connected to my APC UPS. This is for anything that may live on my desk that is mission critical and I cannot afford to lose power, data, or other information. Moving up to the top of the board is a 48-inch power strip from Harbor Freight that is screwed directly into it. The only items connected to this is power for the portable PC, my Google Home Mini, a docking station for my work laptop, and the Bose speakers. Almost everything on this wall-mounted board is coming to the right-hand side to this large bundle of cables that is secured together with Velcro. To keep everything held close to the board, I secure the Velcro with screws directly into it. Moving upwards towards the TV, you'll find 3 cables running into an HDMI switch. This is coming from the Xbox, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch. The output of the HDMI switch runs down to the Elgato HD60 Pro living inside of the gaming PC. Coming from the Elgato, the output HDMI runs into the TV. This gives me the ability to play all of my consoles directly from my gaming PC using my Razer headphones or the speakers. It also allows me the ability to stream all of my games from any of my consoles without any extra hassle or moving any cables around. Following the cables behind the TV from right to left leads you to another power strip. This is connected to the battery backup as well. Running off of this is the power strip for the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, TV, Apple Watch, HDMI switch, and the LED TV lights. The last thing in this setup to talk about is the lights. All of the LED strips come from Govee, and I manage them using the app. I have aluminum V-channel following the back wall and up to the ceiling corners of the setup. There are 2 16-foot LED strips tucked into the V-channel, as well as 2 strips behind and under the desk. Another strip is also mounted directly to the back of the television as seen before. There are 2 spotlights in the corner of the office as well. This helps illuminate the room just that little bit more to make it seem like it's daylight while I'm streaming. Well, that concludes my stream setup tour. Hopefully I covered everything. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. This is my first video I've ever scripted and produced myself. If you like what you saw and you want to press the like button, it's greatly appreciated. It means a lot. If you want to talk more tech, play games, get some quality memes, or hang out with some good people, feel free to join my Discord. The link is in the description. Again, if you want to be notified of when I go live or post something new, you can press that subscribe button and ring the bell on your way out. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.